To begin your colored pencil warm-up, you're first going to start by creating a palette. This is where you take every colored pencil that you have, you draw a dot that you push really hard down on the paper so you can really see the color of it, and then you write the number of the pigment code next to that dot. You will see a number on the bottom end of all of your pencils. I want you to write that number next to your colored pencils. Write that number in pencil or pen. Do not write that number in the colored pencil. Use a different pen. Once you have all of your colors listed, we will start new techniques. After you create your palette, we're going to use some basic colored pencil techniques that we're going to practice on the rest of this page. I want you to do these in like 1.5-inch square boxes. They don't need to be too big, but they should not be super tiny. You need to have enough space to actually practice the technique. Go ahead on your sketchbook, sketch out 3 boxes. We'll do 3 at a time. My boxes kind of got a little bigger, but that's okay. Okay, so what I want you to do is after you've created your palette, I want you to find a nice, vibrant blue color. Blue's a really easy color to see, so I want it to be kind of rich and nice, not too light. This one's probably too light. I'm going to look at my numbers and my dots and say, okay, this 933 is a really great bright blue pencil. I'm going to use that. It's my violet blue. I want you to have a nice, more dark color. Blue is a good one to work with. And in our first box, we're going to draw using light pressure, which means I'm not going to push down too hard with my hand or my pencil onto the paper. I want to keep it light. When we talked about paper tooth in the graphite warm-up, I talked about how paper is rough, and at a microscopic level it has all these bumps and tops in it, and our pigments get stuck in those grooves. Well, we're really just going to color on the top of our little mountain peaks on our paper. Okay, so I'm not getting everywhere. There's almost a sense of static, like if you're looking at an old school TV. So you can see a lot of the paper through the color. That's what it looks like when you use colored pencils with light pressure. For this next one, we're going to use heavy pressure. This means I want you to push down hard on the paper, so use a lot of force, but don't break your pencil. And we're covering up a lot more of the paper there. We're kind of flattening the texture of the paper tooth. So I have a lot more pigment on my page. Okay, same pencil, but completely different values. And then in this one, we're going to do a gradate. A gradate or a gradation is something that slowly transitions. So we're going to do heavy pressure to light pressure in this box. So with that same pencil, I want you on this side to push really dark, really hard and dark. And then as you move your hand to the side, you can do this the other way if you are a lefty. I want you to slowly lighten up your pressure. Should be a smooth transition from that dark color to that light color. So we should see a nice smooth transition. I can go over that a little bit more. My dark side's still kind of light. Okay, so this is a way that I can shade with colored pencils by just controlling the pressure that I'm using. You do have to have a little bit of athleticism of the hand in order to control the pressure. If you have a hard time getting these light values, I want you to practice with your hand underneath your paper. So I'm gonna put my hand underneath my paper. You can see my fingertips. I want you to practice drawing on your hand so you can feel the pressure. Okay, you shouldn't be able to feel it through the paper for the light pressure. Okay, heavy pressure can be a lot darker. Okay, for our next three techniques, go ahead and make some boxes. So for this box, we're going to do a two-tone grade 8, two-tone or two-color grade 8. So we're going to do this same technique twice in one box, and we're going to layer our colors on top of each other. So we're going to use that same dark blue color, and you will notice that my colored pencil has gotten dull from drawing up here. So the first thing that I'm going to do before I do anything else is sharpen that colored pencil. Colored pencils you need to keep sharp so the tip is nice and precise, so you can get in those little details and areas. So I'm going to use the blue that I've been using, and I'm going to look at my list of colors here, and I'm also going to choose a yellow color. So I'm going to go ahead and choose 916. It's a very bright lemon yellow. And these are the two colors that I'm going to use in my next few boxes. So for a two-tone gradation, and this is how we blend things together, I want you to use heavy pressure first with your blue pencil on one side, get to about medium pressure, a little to the middle, and continue to lighten up as you go, pulling back, and by the end here, I'm almost fighting gravity with my pencil, barely dragging it along there. So I have a smooth transition. Then I'm going to take my second color, and I'm going to do it from the opposite direction. So I'm taking my yellow, and I'm pushing really hard right here. And as I move over and it's starting to turn green, I'm going to lighten up my pressure. So what I should have is a transition from blue to yellow, and it should be green in the middle because blue and yellow make green. Layering. Okay, we're going to do a little plus sign in this box. And what I want you to do is on the top, going to give me a medium pressure. Not too heavy, but a little darker than light so we can really see it. In the top two boxes. And then the yellow color, sharpen it a little bit because it's a little green from the first one. I'm going to put in my left two boxes. So basically what I can see is that you can almost mix colors and colored pencils the same way we mix paint. So a nice green showed up there even though I never used a green pencil. I just used my color mixing knowledge. So here I'm going to show you how to use the white colored pencil to do what we're called burnishing. So what I want you to do is that same blue pencil, heavy on one side, light on the other. When a paper is burnished, it means we have pushed all the texture out of that paper and it is now like flat and waxy and won't take any more pigment. I can do that using my white colored pencil. So I'm going to start on the lighter side And what I'm going to do with this white is I'm going to move my pencil in small circles and push really hard. And what it's doing is it's blending those pigments around. So I'm going to start on my light side, work over to my dark side, and you can see the static is disappearing as I move over, as I'm blending all that color together. I'm pushing pretty hard, not hard enough to break my pencil, but close. And then I can use that to create really smooth surfaces and gradients. Lots of textures of subjects really don't have this like rough static texture, excuse me. So you will end up using your white colored pencil way more than you expect in order to gradate, or to burnish. I'm sorry, I keep using the wrong words. For our next 3 boxes, we're going to do the different kinds of mark making. So you will hopefully, should have, heard these terms before. Hatching, cross-hatching, and then that's right, the scribble. So back to our blue pencil, hatching is using lines only in one direction. It's shading with lines. And where I put more lines closer together is where I can start to build up value. Hatching should be used for objects and subjects that have kind of a linear texture to it, almost like tweed, corduroys. Cross-hatching is basically double hatching. So instead of doing lines one way, you're doing X's. And to build up value works the same. The closer you put those lines together, the more X's you make in an area. That's going to build up more. Now scribbling is not really doing the lines. It's more just moving your pencil around. Putting lines on top, keeping them kind of loose. This creates kind of a rougher texture. If I was shading the leaves of a tree or certain kinds of food, this might be the mark making technique that I use scribbling. But the most common mark making I want you to do is refined technique, okay, which are those tiny circles where there's no marks from the tools that I use. So in this, I can tell that my pencil was moving this way. In this one, I can tell that my pencil is moving this way and this way. In this one, I can tell my pencil is moving all the way around. Here, I can tell that my pencil was moving up and down, okay? Not only did you watch me do it, but you can kind of see that it's like vertical stripes. Burnishing helps get rid of that. If you go patient and slow enough and build pressure and layers slowly, you can create a really smooth transition without directional lines, just using pencil pressure. So I'm moving my hand in these small, small circles, but I'm not pushing too hard. I'm not pushing enough to scar my paper or to leave a mark where I've drawn. I'm drawing lightly enough where when I go and put more circles over it, it all blends together and doesn't look like you can follow the movement of my hand while you are working. This takes control. This takes athleticism of the hand. We don't often think about athleticism when we're sitting at our desks drawing, but it takes a lot of tiny changes of your hand, the pressure, your elbow, your shoulders. To get this really smooth kind of quality without tool marks. So this is your total colored pencil warm-up. This is what I want turned into your digital sketchbook. I need one sketchbook page that has every colored pencil that you have with the code next to it. And then these 10 techniques. They need to be strong techniques, okay? Don't get lazy. Actually do them. Practice them well. Good practice makes perfect. Bad practice makes not so perfect.